Voilà, bonjour, messieurs, dames. Happy afternoon. I'm welcoming you to this last session of this stream today. It's a great pleasure to have the opportunity to be the host here of the session since it's concluding the B2B stream. And my name is Joachim Hartig. I'm responsible together with my team at Germany Trade and Invest for attracting foreign direct investments to Germany and thus also to Europe. So this is a very critical industry which we are attracting already for a number of years. And it's really exciting to find so many of industry leaders and also research leaders as well as governmental representatives in this conference. If the conference today has shown one thing, then it is how important and future-driven the industry is. These are absolutely genuine vectors, I would say, of hydrogen ecosystems. Also, it has shown how the potentials are in Europe, and especially how current frameworks and conditions in Europe still have to be developed to meet the requirements of the industry and of a successful deployment. And through a successful deployment, we know this, we want to achieve resilience in not only this industry, but also other industries, and particularly in energy supply. It is therefore a great pleasure today to present you a variety of angles to look at this situation. And the angle will cover also a European angle, which I'm very pleased to announce in a few seconds, but also angles from regional states of Germany as well as from economic development. So I will be happy to take you to a very interesting journey today to visit all the aspects of hydrogen deployment in Germany, maybe also do some reality checks because we heard a lot of projections today as well, and in the end, hopefully find a common and joint perspective on how to deal with hydrogen and its potentials in Germany in the future. Now it's a great pleasure for me to call to the stage Mr. Joaquim Nunes de Almeida, Director of DG GROW of the European Commission, and he's going to say something about net zero values at the European flagship products. Joachim. Thank you.
So indeed, I'm a director at DG GROW, responsible for mobility, energy intensives, and industrial decarbonization, which covers also things like net zero and critical raw materials. And let me start by thanking very much both Lausitz and Lower Saxony, as well as the German Trade and Invest, for inviting me to speak today. Let me also congratulate you for the impressive work you've done in preparing your applications as net zero acceleration valleys. I mean, Germany seems to be a strong precursor in this area, which is very welcome. Your work is proof of vision and determination, that regions like yours want to be at the forefront of Europe's industrial transformation, in particular for renewable and low-carbon hydrogen. It's also proof that Europe's industrial policy framework is helping to deliver real projects, real investment, and real change on the ground. Why do we need to act now? We need to make sure that Europe not only decarbonizes, but does so while keeping good jobs, strong companies, and strategic industries here in Europe. So it's about climate ambition, but it's equally, and I underline equally, about industrial competitiveness. Around the world, other economies are investing heavily to anchor the industries of tomorrow. At the same time, our energy-intensive industries are under enormous pressure to decarbonize, tackle high energy costs, unfair global competition, and complex regulations, both at EU and national and regional level. Europe is highly regulated. It's not an easy place to do business on. We've got good scientists, we've got a very high-skilled workforce, but there's a lot going against us in this moment. And we cannot afford to stand still. The Clean Industrial Deal and the Net Zero Industry Act are Europe's answer to the global race for clean technologies. Now, why does the Net Zero Industry Act matter? It's a milestone in industrial policy which helps us enhance the competitiveness of our net zero industries. Scaling up Europe's manufacturing base means scaling up resilience and strategic autonomy. Net Zero Industrial Act sets a benchmark that by 2030, at least 40% of net zero technologies installed in Europe should be made in Europe. This gives projects and investors planning certainty and is a strong business case for scaling up here. What does it do in practice? It's also about speed. It accelerates permitting. The entire permitting granting process for an industrial project must now take place within specific legally binding time limits. There have to be single points of contact in every member state to guide and coordinate the process for each project. And with the Net Zero Industrial Act, net zero manufacturing projects can also apply to become net zero strategic projects. These benefit from priority status at national level for administrative processes and advice on financing. Commission experts work with international financial intermediaries, including the EIB, to provide tailored financing advice and matchmaking. We're seeing also within the Commission a big change in skills in terms of like, where would we 10 years ago be putting project promoters in contact with banks, in contact with off-takers? I mean, these are all new things. There are a lot of new things as a result of the new necessities. We encourage all projects to apply via the Commission website. Another important pillar of net zero is boosting demand for EU-made production. From January 26, which is in 3 months, public procurement and for 30% of renewable energy auctions for solar, wind and hydrogen will have to apply mandatory non-price criteria. We're working closely with member states to ensure authorities are ready for this. This means that auctions for renewable and low-carbon hydrogen must include resilience criteria for electrolyzers, creating a level playing field for European electrolyzer manufacturers vis-à-vis their competitors in China. These resilience criteria will boost manufacturing of clean technologies in regions such as Lausitz and Lower Saxony. Another important concept is the Net Zero Valley. They translate the measures of the Net Zero Industry Act into concrete action at regional and local level. Designating Net Zero Valley is voluntary, but once a member state takes that step, it is subject to obligations. A defined geographic zone with a technology focus, a concrete plan with supportive measures, a dedicated single point of contact for permitting and investment advice, and an upfront strategic environmental assessment. In short, organization, focus, clarity, and accountability. Across Europe, currently at least a dozen regions are looking into establishing net zero valleys. Valleys are about building ecosystems, like in Lausitz and Lower Saxony, where different industries, cement, steel, chemicals, batteries, hydrogen, CO2 transport and storage, work together, share infrastructure, and scale up faster. The Commission will support Member States in further developing the valleys concept in the coming months. Now, as a final remark, ladies and gentlemen, the regions of Lausitz and Lower Saxony can be proud of their pioneering role. Your regions have an impressive industrial tradition, strong infrastructure, and crucially, the determination to reinvent themselves as clean industrial hubs, in particular for hydrogen. This is exactly what the Net Zero Industrial Act and the Valleys concept were designed for. But today is also a call for action. To keep momentum high, to build ecosystems rather than islands, and to show that together we can turn project pipelines into competitive industrial sites that create jobs, strengthen supply chains, and secure Europe's place in the clean industrial future. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Almeida. It became absolutely clear that creating net zero valleys is not only a task, but it's also a responsibility, not for Germany alone, but also to be a part of a European ecosystem. And speaking about more of coherence, I was wondering what measures is the European Commission taking to support the scale-up of net zero here?
Well, yeah, exactly. Back to we have what Europe lacks right now, besides the Innovation Fund, which spent 30 billion euro within its lifespan, but as Mario Draghi says, we need 400 billion to decarbonize European industry. We're putting forward proposals so that a greater part of the EU budget is devoted to industrial competitiveness purposes in the next multi-annual financial framework, and we have put forward a proposal for a European Competitiveness Fund in the next budget to support strategic clean tech and scale-up private investment. We've also came out with new guidelines on state aid, the Clean Industrial State Aid Framework, so-called CSAF for the insiders, from tax incentives to support for electricity costs. Later this year, we will propose the Industrial Accelerator Act, which will introduce carbon intensity labels for projects such as steel and cement, very hydrogen related, and creating lead markets for low carbon industry, especially via public procurement and other forms of intervention. This will create demand for the green version of the products that you are already producing in your regions. And the beauty is that these criteria would become compulsory. They wouldn't be simply voluntary. Additionally, the accelerator aims to introduce resilience criteria and minimum EU content requirements in public procurement and other forms of public intervention, and potentially for products placed on the market containing materials from energy-intensive industries like steel. So if you see that 50% of steel is absorbed by public construction, 20% of the steel in automobiles ends up in a public subsidy scheme, this could be a game changer in terms of creating the market that green hydrogen is very much looking for to have since I started hearing about green hydrogen 4 or 5 years ago. So, message is clear, we're building up not only cleaner industry, but also a more competitive industry, and I hope that you'll get thriving businesses out of all we are preparing. And thank you very much for having invited me for here today. I will not be able to stay longer, unfortunately, and hear the presentations of the CEOs. I wish you all the best for your projects and for the progress of the European economy and industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Almeida. I think that was very instructive, although we know that the MFF will come into place in 2028, where the Competitiveness Fund of the European Union will manifest itself, and I understood that until this time there will be programs in between to support the growing relevance and also the growing operationalization of the hydrogen industry. So thank you for this constructive impulse. We will switch our perspective now from the EU to Germany, and particularly to Germany as a business location for the net zero technology and for insights into the hydrogen ecosystem. And for this, we have two outstanding panelists here, which will give a presentation. One is Julia Braune, CEO of Germany Trade and Invest. The other is Raphael Goldstein, likewise of Germany Trade and Invest, and a designated expert in the hydrogen industry, very successful already over years to attract companies to be successful in the hydrogen industry and other industries in Germany. So I would like to give the stage to Julia Braune, CEO of Germany Trade and Invest, to give a short presentation. Julia, bitte.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Also, I would like to, extend a warm welcome here to this B2B Forum within the European Hydrogen Week on behalf of Germany Trade and Invest. And let me start maybe with a short introduction of our agency. We are indeed the Economic Promotion and Development Agency of the Federal Republic of Germany, and we serve as a main contact for all those companies from Germany who want to internationalize their business and looking to expand into foreign markets, as well as we are a consultant and first point of contact for all foreign companies aiming to set up their business in Germany. Our role is indeed to promote Germany as a business location, and Germany Trade and Invest operates under the mandate of the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Energy, and we maintain a global presence as well, with offices in more than 50 countries, with our local experts there on the ground in key markets for the German industry. Our government has embarked on a determined policy course to lead Germany into the future, to build the framework for economic growth and resilience, and to strengthen our long-term competitiveness. Furthermore, the German government is placing a particular emphasis on attracting international investors to Germany, and our Chancellor just recently has announced that we will have a new Chief Investment Officer as well, Mr. Martin Blessing, who will work closely together with our agency, with Germany Trade and Invest, to even have a stronger presence in the international markets and, to showcase our opportunities that arise from the developments in Germany and in the European Union even better globally. So what do we do exactly? Germany is an export nation. We are a champion of foreign trade, but foreign trade is becoming more challenging in these times. We witness and experience new trade barriers, geopolitical tension, and changing market conditions that are placing high demands, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises. We are offering, therefore, a targeted assistance in this area with comprehensive market analysis, with legal information and industry-specific reports. We help companies identifying opportunities and minimize risks. And also, I mentioned it already, we advise foreign investors, likewise on the legal framework in Germany and the existing support programs and funding opportunities. Our goal is to help foreign companies to gain a foothold in Germany and become part of our innovative ecosystem. We do also implement a variety of government assistance programs in Germany, and these include, for example, also a targeted support for startups, the market entry program that you might have heard of, or the promotion of the Eastern state and structural transformation. Therefore, we are also working closely together with all the 16 federal states, not only with the local trade promotion agencies and investment promotions agencies, but also with the local ministries for economic affairs to attract investors. The common thread running through all our tasks is that we rely on close partnerships with all stakeholders, also with the German chambers of commerce abroad, the federal states, of course, the embassies, and the companies themselves, our most important stakeholders, so to say. Germany enjoys an excellent reputation internationally as a business location, and foreign companies are attracted still by the size of the market and the leading role as an industrial player in Europe, the economic stability, skilled personnel, and our innovative strengths, and the stable legal framework. We have just conducted a survey, and 1,800 companies from the UK, France, United States, Japan, and South Korea have confirmed this to us. Germany also represents approximately 24% of Europe's GDP, And additionally, nearly 19% of the European Union's population resides in Germany. And I will quickly showcase some of the numbers here in the presentation. And to go on and look at our peers as well, we are the #1 destination for foreign investment in the EU, and in the current FDI confidence index published by the consulting firm Kearney, Germany ranks 5th worldwide behind, and this you can see here, the US, Canada, China, and the United Kingdom. So, moreover, we are a global leader in research and development, and renowned institutions such as Max Planck, Fraunhofer, and the Helmholtz Association stand for excellence in science and practical innovation. Today's program will also give you an idea of what this means, and we will see on the panel later for business opportunities representatives of these research institutions as well as representatives of spin-offs from universities. They will showcase what they have to offer in terms of hydrogen technology and other net zero technologies. This innovative strength that we have in Germany is not only driven by cutting-edge research institutions and forward-thinking companies, but largely is made possible by the people behind these ideas. Then groundbreaking technologies require not just the vision, but also expertise for implementation to turn these ideas into reality. That's why Germany is highly qualified, where the highly qualified workforce comes in, and this is due to thanks to the dual education system and our first-class universities. We rank 2nd worldwide in terms of attractiveness and of our highly skilled workforce. And to give some numbers for that as well, 24% have a university degree and 42% have completed apprenticeship or vocational education and training. In addition to these factors, Germany offers several other advantages for businesses, including a dependable legal system, a stable political environment, and transparent administrative procedures. I will now turn to it's a much longer presentation than I expected it to be. I wanted to say to the net zero valleys, maybe there is a map turning up. There it is, here we are. These locational advantages that I mentioned not only make Germany attractive, but also demonstrate the leading role. And here we see the result because we are having already 2 net zero valleys that you can see here marked on the map that will shape the path to climate neutrality, but also 2 more regions in Rhineland and also in Schleswig-Holstein in the north that have successfully started their way to become a net zero valley for the European and the international market. This EU Hydrogen Week offers an excellent opportunity to showcase the potential of the hydrogen industry as one of the net zero technologies and the net zero valleys. And as Mr. Nunes de Almeida already mentioned, they are pioneers as future regions for climate neutral industry. You will learn more about these net zero valleys in the pitches later in the program. And I will now hand over to Raphael Goldstein, who will give an overview on the investment opportunities in the net zero technologies and hydrogen. And yes, I'm very curious myself to learn more about this in this event during today's session. And please feel free also to approach our experts from Germany Trade and Invest later on. And with that, I will hand over to Raphael Goldstein. Thank you very much.
Does it work? Yes, fantastic. Thanks a lot, Ms. Braune, for this introduction, actually, to Net Zero Valleys. And I'm pleased to, that's not, okay. I'm Raphael Goldstein, actually in charge of the Hydrogen Project Group, and I'm more than happy to be here to present about realistic investment possibilities in the hydrogen economy. It's really, it's a kind of tough market, but it's in Germany possible, and the net zero valleys in hydrogen are actually what express the potential. Net zero valleys regarding the decarbonization technology as a whole, and hydrogen as a specific technology taking place in the net zero valleys. Yeah, exactly. And also, the goal of this presentation to show where to start. And the net zero valley is actually the place where all the conditions are to invest in decarbonization and more especially in hydrogen. So, let's have first an overview of what is decarbonization in Germany, and it's quite important to say that the potential for investment itself, alone looking at investment in infrastructure, investment in turning heat renewable, in developing energy efficiency, and more especially transforming the industrial processes for the German industry to be carbon neutral in 2045, is, according to the study that have been commissioned by the Federal Ministry of Education and Research, Ariane survey, around 180 billion euros till 2045. That's actually a huge amount of investment possibility. Speaking about decarbonization, the focus of this presentation is hydrogen, but speaking about decarbonization is the potential for investment. Let's see why hydrogen is so important. First, look at the so-called good pupils in our classroom, the one that succeed to reduce the CO2 footprint massively. And I speak here about the energy sector that through the increase of renewable energy in Germany has massively reduced its CO2 impact. There's some bad pupils, like the agriculture, where there's still a lot of work to do, but we are getting there. And there's some dedicated, hard-working pupils, like the transport industry and, the transport sector and the industry, where a lot have been done, but we have still a lot to be done that cannot be covered. This is quite important. That, let's say, one of the things we know from the Energy Transition Monitoring Report, not everything can be done with electrification. A lot have to be done with molecules. And hydrogen is a molecule, a way to get this decarbonization done. For what cannot be, let's say, resolved with hydrogen, then we have to use CCU, CCS. But that's the rest. That's not the focus. That's the rest. And that means, let's turn our eyes to the hydrogen market and see what is the potential. I say realistic. It was not, let's say, in order to make that presentation quite dramatic, but we had look exactly at what can be done in Germany. And let's have a look first to where this hydrogen will come. And we are speaking about hard to abate, and that is the, let's say, actually the segment we all know. Yeah? It's the steel industry, it's the petrochemical industry, it's the mobility using hydrogen directly in cars, it's the chemical industry. It's actually the biggest emittance, biggest emittance in Germany. And for that, we need new processes. I spoke about the investment in processes. They are necessary. We are speaking about hydrogen as a raw material, but we also have to look at hydrogen as a heat source. we have to know that 400 process above 400 degrees, they're quite hard to electrify. So the way for these processes will be surely hydrogen. And the question is where the hydrogen will come from. First of all, the color. We know green is actually in the focus. And we have a lot of potential in Germany. Why? Because we have a lot of surplus energy. We have, just to have imagined, 7,000 in average gigawatt hour every year, renewable energy not used because it has to be curtailed. It could be used to produce hydrogen to a cheap price. Also because we need to deliver hydrogen in time and in amount, we will have to look at the other types or colors of hydrogen. And there, that has been also mentioned by our State of Secretary, Mr. Wenoff, blue and turquoise. Blue and turquoise. So we are building the bridge to the CCU-CCS technology because of the technology, but because also, I make it again, we will need CO2 definitively to make this hydrogen economy work because we need CO2 for the production of hydrogen-based product. Many of them, not all, many of them. And now we spoke about the production, and the production is, and what is important to say is, this is a realistic view, is most of the hydrogen we will use will be imported. I guess 50% of the maximum will be produced here, But most of it will be imported, and if it works, we can see exactly what will be the investment potential for this, because we need import terminals for the import. We will need also, because it will be imported in form of ammonia crackers. We will need, because we have to transport this hydrogen from A to B, it means from the import or to where it comes from, to the consumer, we will need transport network. And that's a huge investment. We will require 20, or let's say 19 billion euros. And that is in the law. We have a network that is our business case in Germany, that is financed by IPCI, but also by the amortization account that is in the law, in the German law for electricity economy. And we have the legal framework that will make that happen, that the Hydrogen Acceleration Act, that is all this process, that is still for the moment a draft, but we expect that to come to a vote in the parliament in some weeks, months. It lasts a bit, but it will be, it's on the way. And we will need storage definitively in Germany, because without storage, no transportation. Just to know, 42% of the storage capacity in Europe is in Germany. So there's a huge potential that can be used for the storage directly in our country, and for that, a hydrogen storage strategy is on its way, expecting it for the end of this year, hopefully. So that's the potential for hydrogen, and we come now to, we know where our the hydrogen comes from. We now have to know where the CO2 comes from that we will use in the processes. It's a map that has been done by one of my colleagues that is especially in charge of CCU-CCS, that all the clusters, CO2 emitting clusters, where the CO2 can be used. We are speaking about fossil, we're speaking about biogenous CO2, and this CO2 can be used for different applications, among others, e-fuels. And we are already, why I'm showing that? Because we are already working with investors looking at this potential, looking at using CO2 and investing in CO2 project. It means CO2 project, but also manufacturing the devices and the components that will be required for the CO2 CCU-CCS industry. But for that to happen, we need, again, a legal framework. And this legal framework is coming. And this is in the parliament, I've been presented in the parliament, that the so-called CCS law that make one thing that is not possible right now, capture, transportation, and storage of CO2. So we are having this law, and from there, the run starts. So we come to a CO2 CCS market that is commercially available. So that being said, Now, what is the, that's it, exactly. So that being said, where to start? That is actually what the presenters after me will show. The Net Zero Valley are predestinated to do that because all what is necessary to make your product happen really fast, from accelerated permitting, over funding, over clusters, over all other possibilities like advanced infrastructure, what will be necessary for hydrogen and CO2, will be there. So that being said, supporting the hydrogen economy is not something you do alone. You do that with a team. And if you want to know more about hydrogen economy, please get in touch with me. CCUCC as my colleague Nicolas Braune. Looking at the legal framework, I look at my colleague Christina Schön. And we also have plenty of things on our internet, on our website, dedicated to hydrogen, net zero, and the general investment environment in Germany. Any question, please, I'm at your disposal, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Raphael. Thank you, Raphael. That was really instructive, and we see that in the different stages of hydrogen, whether it's generation, storage, transportation, and utilization, there are a variety of business models behind all this. And I think the question we have to solve strategically and also on a political level is in what order and what kind of frameworks we really need for this. It is also a good signal, I think, that that carbon dioxide utilization gets more into the focus and, let's say, out of the shadow into the light. For political and also industrial attention, so that this can be used in the future as a different line of business. I'm very happy to invite Dr. Markus Niggemann, head of the Net Zero Valley Lausitz, to the stage, because now we are starting the session where, how can I say this, the fact basis under these strategies can be presented, and also the aspirations which are specifically tailored to the regions in Germany. Markus Niggemann, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm very proud to be here and to represent the steering committee of the Net Zero Valley initiative in Lusatia, where the chambers of commerce and industry, as well as the municipalities, work closely together in order to become Europe's first Net Zero Valley. We were the first Net Zero Valley initiative in Europe. We were the first who handed in the application to become a Net Zero Valley. And we are very optimistic that exactly in 5 weeks from now on, we will become officially Europe's first Net Zero Valley. Where is Lusatia? It's in the very east of Germany, bordering Poland and the Czech Republic. It is a traditional industry and energy region. It used to be the former GDR center for power production, and we want to stay an energy and an industry region because we love energy and we love industry. The backbone of our industry, however, are lignite-fired power plants, and Germany decided to phase out coal, and all the power plants will be shut down in several steps until 2038. In order to transform the economy and especially the industry, the federal government spends a huge amount of money, 17 billion euros, just in the small region of Lusatia, primarily in infrastructure, in research institutes and cutting-edge research institutes focusing on net zero technologies and the development of industrial areas. And our application, it contains 11 industrial areas in our region, altogether about 800 hectares. All these hectares are either already developed or nearly developed, so feel free to invest. A Net Zero Valley. We heard it already today several times. Europe is in competition with Asia, with North America, and net zero technologies are very innovative technologies for which time to market is key. So we have to be fast. And many of us are thinking, oh, Europe is so bureaucratic, it takes too much time to set up a factory here. So we've got to show that we can be fast, and we can be fast. Just to showcase, in Cottbus, for example, the German railway operator got all the required approvals for a 1.2 billion euro investment for Europe's most modern rail maintenance plant within a few months. And the plant itself was built within 18 months. So we can be fast if we want. And the Net Zero Valley is a special geographic zone where extraordinary conditions make it very attractive for investors who want to set up production capacities in net zero technologies. And what are these advantages? Well, first, of course, very fast approval processes. We've got to be fast, and there are already some simplifications implemented in Germany. For example, there's a single point of contact for all the approval authorities. So an investor has to deal with one single point of contact. There's a high public interest in all decision-making processes within the approval authorities. You can always count on these high public interests. And also there's a prioritization of applications and so on. There are several things. However, we think we can be even better with a good project management. And we at Lusatia, we are very eager to showcase how fast we can be. Second thing is, investors do not like bureaucracy. Who does? Together with the other Net Zero Valley initiatives in Germany, we have lots of proposals, great proposals, for all levels, for the European Union, for the federal level in Germany, as well as the Länder level, how we can simplify the framework and make it more attractive to invest within Net Zero Valleys. Third, the Net Zero Industry Act comprises also Net Zero academies, because these innovative technologies need a different skill set. Our traditional curricula do not contain the right the right content, for working with these technologies. So in order to secure a skilled workforce, we need these net zero academies. And within Lusatia, due to the structural change we are facing right now, we've got great education networks in order to transform it and form a skilled workforce for these technologies. And fourth, well, money is always important. The Net Zero Industry Act speaks about the highest possible co-financing rates for fundings. And the EU member state, that means Germany as well, is required to take also national actions, to support the European actions. And within Lusatia, due to the structural change, we've got also special fundings, the Just Transition Fund, for example. So the Net Zero Industry Act itself focuses on 19 technologies. But we think within Lusatia, we should just focus on 4 in order to form a cluster. And these are all technologies who are about energy storage or energy transformation, including, of course, all kinds of hydrogen projects. And why? Because with these technologies, we can leverage the economic transformation in our region. We've got the new research institutes focusing on the technologies. We've got the new industrial areas. We've got a rising surplus of renewable energy. And last but not least, which is very rare in Germany, we've got free grid capacity. So if you think about investing in these technologies, your search was successful. The place to be is Lusatia, Europe's first Net Zero Valley. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Niggemann. I think we heard about how can I say this, a ladder of opportunities for us all. I would like to invite now Lutz Stührenberg, Managing Director of Economic Development of the Wesermarsch, to give a pitch and an overview about the Net Zero Valley.
It's a big pleasure to provide a brief overview about our Net Zero Valley, and I will point out 3 things. First, the cutting-edge hydrogen strengths. Second, the transformative potential. And third, the investment opportunities of our region. Let's dive in. Our Net Zero Valley spans 11,000 square kilometers in northwest Germany, right at Europe's heart, with 1.6 million residents. It's backed by 19 key partners, 13 cities and counties along the Ems, North Sea coast, Weser and Elbe, plus 4 chambers of commerce and industry and 2 regional development agencies. We submitted our application in June 2025 to establish the coastal region as a leading net zero valley. Let's start with the big picture. Net Zero Valley in northwest Germany is one of Europe's first acceleration valleys, spanning 19 potential sites across 6,400 hectares. It's home to 155 net zero technology projects with worth 35 billion, including 14 billion euro in hydrogen projects. We've got sites ready for green hydrogen production and strong partnerships with local businesses, over 40 research institutions, municipalities, and government. As of September 2025, the review is on track and a decision is expected for 2026, paving the way for fast-track approvals and EU funding, power Europe's green transition. We focus on 6 key strengths in our Net Zero Valley. I want to point out 3 highlights. First, our world-class ports like Wilhelmshaven's Energy Hub, ready for global hydrogen trade. They are connected to pipelines like Germany's hydrogen grid. The H2 backbone ensures secure imports and cost-effective change. Second, we have abundant wind power, about 56 terawatt in a few years, onshore and offshore, generating green electricity for green hydrogen production. Take our 300 megawatt electrolyzer in Lingen, set to launch by 2027, aligning with Northwest Europe's 30 to 40 gigawatt target by 2030 and ensuring we are a scalable innovation hub. Third, our hydrogen storage and waste salt caverns act as a European buffer, boosting energy security and balancing seasonal demand for industries, for heavy manufacturing and aviation beyond 2030. This project unites companies, municipalities, and institutions in a rising hydrogen market. Here are 2 key drivers. First, the innovation is booming. Over 40 research institutions like Fraunhofer are pushing hydrogen technology forward, fueled by IPCEI funding for game-changing and research development. Second, strong industrial demands keeps us moving from green steel to projects like Hydrogen Agrar using H2 for sustainable farming. Our clusters in energy, chemicals, steel, mobility, and logistics drive collaboration. As part of Northwest Europe, which accounts for 40% of Europe's hydrogen demands, we are building resilient markets, synergies, circular economies, and jobs. To our investors, Net Zero Northwest Germany is a waste site for net zero technologies, billions in projects, and streamlined processes, backed by the Net Zero Industry Act and Germany's hydrogen incentives. This ensures strong and long-term returns. By investing here, you are shaping Europe's sustainable future in the global energy transition. We need engineers, we need entrepreneurs, and we need private investors. Join us to make it happen. please visit our dedicated website for more details. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for these both interventions. I think it was really interesting, especially because these two valleys are pioneering the move in Europe to create this, and the particular frameworks and the acceleration in bureaucracy and procedures, and especially the connectivity also to local workforce as well as to technology research institutions like Fraunhofer, for example, makes it a very, very valid point to consider doing research over there and doing production over there. I would like to continue now with another very interesting part of this session, which is our joint panel discussion. And I would like to invite to the stage in alphabetical order Tim Husmann, Managing Director, Energy Hub Emsland Development. Wonderful. Jan Müller, Board Chairman of the J. Müller Aktiengesellschaft and also the President of the Industry Chamber in Oldenburg. Welcome on the stage. Sebastian Schmidt, Group Leader, Hydrogen Technology at Fraunhofer IWU. Excellent. And last but not least, Heiko Witte, Managing Director of the CESCO GmbH. We'll now have the opportunity to discuss what we just heard, and also you have the opportunity to go a little bit more in depth onto what you do in your company. I would like to start with Mr. Müller. Having heard about all the relevance the hydrogen has in the different industries and also in the different stages of production, like production, storage, transport, and utilization, I would like to know what kind of role does hydrogen play within your company's overall strategy?
Yeah, representing all the companies in let's say in the area of the Chamber of Commerce who are looking in this area, I would say in decarbonization, the most important is electricity and on the electron basis, and then hydrogen and the derivatives. Those are the two we should really focus on when we speak with our companies and consider technologies.
This is a pretty elementary technology to make this happen anyway. And I would like just to continue with Mr. Schmidt and connecting to this maybe, which specific hydrogen projects are currently being undertaken by Fraunhofer?
Fraunhofer it's a big society. We have, or Fraunhofer Society have a lot of hydrogen projects, but I can today only want to speak about our projects. And maybe at first, for better understanding, my institute is a classical institute for manufacturing, for production, and so on. And in the past, we had some only worked on solution for the automotive sector. And since some years, we entered new markets and also the hydrogen market. And because of that, we have, since some years, very big projects. And what projects are these? For example, we have the 2 reference factories in Chemnitz. That are exchange platforms for technology and knowledge transfer, especially for fuel cells and electrolyzer. Then we have some two big projects, High-Victus, High-Ventus, in which, or in these projects, we deal also with electrolyzer and fuel cells, but new methods of production, industrial production, serious production of these hydrogen components. And then we have another, the last big hydrogen project. It's the hydrogen project, hydrogen lab in Görlitz. For that, I'm the project leader. And this I want to explain a little bit more in detail. What is the goal? The goal is that we want to support the structural change in Lusatia and maybe also in the future for the Net Zero Valley. And it's divided into some different sub-projects. The main important sub-project of the hydrogen lab is that we built at the moment a 12 megawatt hydrogen power plant at the Siemens energy site in Görlitz, with several test stands in a megawatt range and some other equipment what is needed. Then we have also an exchange platform with the name Onto High, also for the knowledge technology transfer into the structural change region, and maybe also in the future for the Net Zero Valley. And then a lot of development projects, like the development and testing of a second generation alkaline electrolyzer, development of second generation H2 compressor, which is highly efficient, and so on. Always with the goal, the development projects always with the goal that we can make a technology transfer into the region Lusatia.
Thank you very much. And I think what we will be having, and already having at this discussion, is the linkage between research and economy, something which Germany as a business location is pretty unique in, because we have all these research institutes like Fraunhofer that are closely related to really the practice in the industries. So what you hear from these gentlemen on the stage is both, on the one hand, the research perspective, and on the other hand, the industry perspective, as we just said. I would like to ask Mr. Husmann, how has the interest in hydrogen evolved in Northwest Lower Saxony, in this region, and the companies? I mean, it's a nice connection. Now we have the technology on the one side, we have some projects on the other side, and now how is the region reacting here?
Yeah, first of all, we distinguish between three types of companies. First type of companies are the companies who want to produce green hydrogen, and of course, since our regions are eligible for producing green hydrogen, because we have the renewable energy, we have the water, we have the industrial areas available, there is lots of interest in companies. Some projects have already been mentioned, for example, the ones by RWE in Lingen, or BP in Lingen, or EWE in Emden. And so we have the possibilities even for new investors, for new companies to scale up, since, as I said, availability of green energy is there. On the second side, we have the consumers, or the possible consumers. Of course, industrial consumers are the main focus point, at this point at least, using feedstocks, hydrogen feedstocks for chemical and petrochemical approaches, like production of even synthetic kerosene and so on. And the companies are doing their way, of course, in the heat sector, as we had a couple of minutes ago. We still struggle with the economy on that side, because hydrogen is still not as cheap as natural gas. But when we consider that the production capacities go up in our regions, then of course we will have this feedstock, hydrogen, not only as a chemical feedstock, but as an energy feedstock as well. And on the third side, and I think this is the most interesting part, at least for our region, we have large companies which deal with the new technologies and deal with the sector of helping others, for example, building up their facilities. And with this supply industry, in the metal sector, for example, in the PT sector, etc., we have lots of potential in our region, and I think they all knew that net zero technologies are the next step, and of course they are looking for connections to other companies to build up the value chains, not only in our region, but to connect, for example, even the valleys, using your know-how, which you build up in your valley, scale it up, and of course then bring it into Europe as a whole.
Thank you so much. And I think what we heard about competitiveness of hydrogen is a lot of cost and cost effectiveness. And I think what's always worthwhile thinking about is that all the fossil fuels, they only take a look at a part of the costs. It's not a full cost equation. Let's say the damages by fossil fuels, they are communalized, so the society has to pay for it, whereas for hydrogen, it's not the case. So if you factor this in, I mean, hydrogen would be already now economically ways cheaper than every available industry, every available energy we have so far. Mr. Witte, Česko, a very interesting spin-off. I would like to know, or could you share with us how the Česko spin-off came about and why you chose that particular region you're in?
Yeah, thank you very much. So CESCO stands for Center for Hybrid Electric Systems in Cottbus. So we are a spin-off of the university in Cottbus. And the Net Zero Valley, which comprises both energy, which is currently produced by coal, but in future needs to be or will be done by the company LEAX through a gigawatt factory, basically it's the solar power, offers a lot of opportunity to focus on what we do, sustainable mobility. So our focus is research, developing a technology platform for carbon neutral aviation in the future and for carbon neutral mobility. So as I see and look at this pictogram of the Hydrogen Week, the airplane is actually missing. But I think everybody who watched the session this morning, Bertrand Piccard, scoped it pretty well, that if you want, you can fly carbon neutral. And I think for us, it is to prove it, we need boundary conditions with the Net Zero Valley, which it's going to provide to us in terms of having the ability to produce hydrogen, and for us to develop the technology which will be either fuel cell based, requiring hydrogen on the one side, or burning hydrogen in the second way, to enable propulsion systems which are carbon neutral. But that's why the region, and that's I think a big focus of the Net Zero Valley, is a mixture of tradition, motivated and skilled people, and a real drive for innovation and making change happen. And I think that's what we need in Europe in terms of the spirit which the Net Zero Valley will provide and the people who shape it.
Thank you. I would like to give this almost the same question to you, Mr. Müller. From your perspective, what are the critical success factors for hydrogen, especially in your region, to thrive?
That also tells you about the advantages of the region, that the availability of hydrogen is important. As we said, as it was said this morning, it's a supply and demand issue. So on the supply side, we need security that the supply takes place, and the more volume there is, the lower the prices. So if I look at our Net Zero Valley, not only that we have a big surplus of green electricity, be it off or onshore wind, which can be then transverted into hydrogen. We also have these tremendous infrastructure of ports. A lot of you may have heard how fast the conversion from Russian pipeline gas to LNG gas took place, and there was one big name that was the port of Wilhelmshaven, and which is also part of the Net Zero Valley. And it's not only the port of Wilhelmshaven, but in general a harbor structure which allows imports of any kind of molecules. So if this gentleman from Oman, or the minister from Oman, has talks of importing green hydrogen from his region, then he is more than welcome to not just choose Amsterdam and Rotterdam, but also to use very performative ports in the Net Zero Valley Northwest, and then there is a grid, and then there is also on the demand side you have the steel industry like Arcelor, you have Salzgitter and others. So I see the case within the Net Zero Valleys we want to build in Germany, and there are kind of USPs that are given, like the location close to the sea. And also, and this is maybe a point I would like to make, if we talk Net Zero Valley, it must be more than a marketing issue. Like Mrs. Braune said, it's nice to have, we can show Net Zero Valley, but I think similar to, let's say, places in Asia, we should speak of special economic zones and attach some advantages to that, and that is something which still has to be discussed between, let's say, the Net Zero Valley initiatives, and be it the state of Lower Saxony or be it on the federal issue. But there is some work to be done. We are not yet there to be successful with them.
I think it's a very good point to name this special economic zones, because in the end, if you create regulations or if you have regional sandboxing for the development of technologies or the deployment of industries, you have a kind of zone that allows to act differently. So probably this is a direction where we want to go. And I would like to come back to what you said. You mentioned ArcelorMittal also already as steel, and we know that there's always a chicken egg problem about the deployment of about the usage of hydrogen. Mr. Witte, I would like to ask you, what kind of partners or industries would be ideal to catalyze this process of deployment?
I think it's a whole range of partners we need in that context because it's a big industrial effort. I think it comes out at the conference, we need infrastructure. We have in Germany the opportunity of the structural strengthening funds, especially also for our region. But as been seen before, of course, we need a hydrogen pipeline into the net zero valley. So that's core, not only for the production and for usage, but also we are developing technology platforms. So we want to and will work with aviation companies, with other mobility companies. We are building up, setting up test stands where we want to use hydrogen, and we don't want to carry it by trucks to the net zero valley, so we need to the infrastructure to enable it. I think that's number one. Number two are the users eventually. So these are the aviation companies, these are truck companies, we've seen Daimler before already. These are maritime companies who want to use hydrogen as a power source. And I think we need them as partner, at least to try it out and to demonstrate and a prototype development. But they are important because they will shape how the infrastructure will have to be built. Yeah, what we are currently looking into in our project is what is required to build up and test a hydrogen tank. Hydrogen tank sounds maybe simple, but if you imagine you have to carry the hydrogen into the air, then you have shock, you have temperature, you have other scenarios. The bigger the airplane gets, it's almost a little chemical factory you are carrying into the air. And I think a lot of the system knowledge is also required to make sure we capture all the benefits of hydrogen. Because whatever technology we want to use in the future as for carbon neutrality, hydrogen will always play a role, whether it's SAF, sustainable aviation fuel, whether it's fuel cell powered or direct propulsion, it will play a very huge role in the mobility sector. And therefore, the last partner I want to mention is somebody who can describe the whole ecosystem and sees, okay, how to produce it in a efficient way, that the carbon effects are neutralized, but also that it's economical. How to carry it, the safety aspects of it, but also certainly the applications of it. And I think that's what our aim is in the Net Zero Valley in Lusatia, is to bring all those partners together. So with CESCO, with our research center, we don't think we fix it all, but we are looking for collaboration in Europe, in Germany, but also in the whole world, wherever there's interest in hydrogen development, because only crowd knowledge will accelerate the technology going forward.
Thank you. Thank you. I was just wondering, since we have a very distinguished audience here, are there companies here in the audience that would use hydrogen already or would use hydrogen in the future? If you could give a hand sign. That is a very limited number of companies. That's close to zero. And who is more on the research side in the audience? Oh, please, at least one. Okay, thank you. That's great. And politicians, government, and decision makers, there we go. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we definitely take this as an imperative also to communicate what we do here and to communicate what we have with these net zero valleys also to the industry. And this has to be done, of course, by companies like Germany Trade and Invest, like our company, and also by the regions and others involved in the deployment of economic development. Mr. Schmidt, I was wondering, since I was talking about the Fraunhofer and other institutes bringing research close to the industry, I think one question comes to mind: how? How do you do this? How do you bring research to the industry so that it gets finally deployed? What do we have to understand about this process?
It's the main task of the Fraunhofer Society to make knowledge and technology transfer. So we have a lot of, because of that, we have a lot of pillars, possibilities for that. And the most important, what we have, and we're working together with the industry within public-funded projects, or public-funded projects, and we developed maybe a product to a technical readiness level up to 7, 8 or something like that. And after that, we started an industrial project together with an industry partner who want this product, and developed this product then to the highest technical readiness level, so that after that the company is for them it's possible to produce and sell the product. This is the main and most important pillar for technology transfer. But we have also some other pillars, and I think also it's the same for universities or other research institutes. It's always the same. I only speak about now, but Fraunhofer. There's another pillar that we have after a public-funded project. The employees of the public-funded projects after then they found startups in a region, Lusatia maybe, so for a product and produce this product there and sell it. It's another similar way to the first one, but it's also a way. And then some other pillars are maybe, for example, that we have our research platform, exchange platforms like Reference Factory, what I said before, under our research platform from the Hydrogen Lab for the training and technology transfer. And then also, this is also a task of Fraunhofer, that we train our employees for maybe 6 years, and after that they have to leave us and go to a specialist to a company. And similar also that we have some connections with universities. We train the students, and after that they leave the university and go to a company as a specialist.
Yeah, that is a tremendous asset. I mean, those who work in this context, for them it's a given that things work like this, but traveling around and attracting companies and hearing other opinions about Germany, we know that this is a very unique selling position we have in this country, to have this possibility to transfer scientific revelations into industrial experiences. Connecting to this, Mr. Husmann, companies that are connecting in the ecosystem, using the technologies. How should companies, in your opinion, prepare themselves or conduct their activities to position for success in this field?
First of all, for a company, either you are someone who produces special things for applications, or if you support other companies, you need to focus always on the current policies, and the current policies say clearly, okay, we want to transform into net zero technologies. And this is one key point where companies, not only our companies, which we already have in our net zero valley, but all companies should keep in mind. And where could you do this? You could do this, of course, when you have the infrastructure, when you have the knowledge, and to connect these things together. I think this is the main thing where companies should always keep focus on. Get into touch, networking at this point, even in regions like Lausitz, even in regions like ours. Get in touch to each other. Try to build up value chains which are robust, which fit into the goals of the EU, of Germany, and even of Lower Saxony. And then I think you can get quite successful. And to look into our region at a special point, since all these things are there, I think we are eligible for companies to get in touch with us and see that they can build up their net zero business as well.
That's interesting, since it already connects a lot of the possibilities we have there with possible companies. I was wondering, also having listened to the pitches of the Net Zero Valleys, the first thought I had, look, we are very fascinated by what we are doing, and the technology really takes us away into fantasies about what could happen. When we speak more about also in an international context, it would be worthwhile at a later stage to develop benefits-related rhetorics here, so that we take into account what the recipient in the end might benefit from what we have to offer here. Although it is fascinating what kind of possibilities there are. And speaking of possibilities there are, and of about how this might develop in the future, I would like to have one question for the final round, and a statement of each of you. If we are looking into the future, why don't you share your perspective, how your vision would be of your business, or how your vision would be of your region in 5 years from now?
Shall I start?
Please.
Okay. The Net Zero Northwest is on full go, so it's becoming a success story because it's connecting the supply and demand side. Investors have been found and are eager to invest in the Northwest region because they can use the advantages offered from the Net Zero Northwest. And I'm confident because it's a common approach from the federal state as well as from the state of Lower Saxony, and not only that, but also with a very close link and network to the business.
Thank you, Mr. Husmann.
Yeah, I hope in 5 years from now we are at a point where we say, okay, hydrogen will work, or hydrogen is working, and the companies who are dealing with net zero technologies are evolving in a positive stage, since the frameworks at the moment, especially on the global level, are quite difficult. But I think with a clear strategy and the clear focus in our region as Net Zero Valley, I think we can succeed at that point and have a resilient economy which will work, which will benefit from the people, and the people will benefit from the industries and the companies there. So this is my hope in 5 years.
Thank you. Mr. Schmidt.
Yeah, in 5 years, Lusatia, I think Lusatia, we will have a structural change and also a Net Zero Valley in progress. It's absolutely important in my opinion. And yeah, in the last years, I saw in Lusatia a lot of hydrogen projects, and a lot of them are not coming, you know, but some of them are in progress now. That, for example, hydrogen lab in Görlitz, also the Referenz power plant in Schwarze Pumpe. I hope, or I think in 5 years, these hydrogen projects will work and yeah, give then a good technology transfer into the region, Lusatia.
Thank you. Mr. Witte.
5 years might be a bit ambitious, but we are embarking just on a project where there could be the opportunity in 5 years to fly maybe from Berlin to Brussels in a small plane powered by hydrogen. But the vision for this would be that technology, which is developed through us, through partners, bigger industrial partners, startup companies, who all set foot in the Net Zero Valley and the newly set up Lausitz Lusatia Science Park in Cottbus, so that in 5 years, you've seen the pipeline project in 2030, we have established the infrastructure to enable hydrogen development. We have achieved that first companies, startups, but also larger industrials are setting foot in our area. And the first demonstrator project, a small plane powered purely by hydrogen with fuel cells and electric motors, is flying, and is not only flying, is certified to fly. So that's the vision. If we can achieve that, that would, I think, give a big boost also to other industries to setting foot in the Zero Valley, but especially to get aviation and other mobility sectors on a climate neutral path.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Witte. I think what we hear very clearly here is that there are kind of two emotional layers to this whole discussion. One is really to have a positive and joyful vision of what could be in 5 years' time. The other is what actually happens and what kind of frameworks we are in to maybe that also put some thresholds over a successful development. And I will come back to my colleague Raphael, who said some minutes ago that we should look at real projects, and I think this is what we are all aspiring to do and what you're aspiring to do in the regions and in your companies. Produce tangible assets that prove that hydrogen works, and if we all do this together, I think in 5 years we will achieve our visions. Thank you for this panel.